It's race day here in Melbourne as we continue with what could shape up to be one of the best Australian Grand Prix ever. The Melbourne circuit is certainly one that needs to be taken seriously. It's a combination of slippery surfaces and difficult corners, making it a very tricky track when it comes to overtaking. Drivers find it hard to pass and will need to take full advantage of those DRS zones if they want to have any hope of breaking through. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. World champion Max Verstappen starts from pole position, just ahead of George Russell, who starts this event from P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Leclerc, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Norris, Ricciardo, and Valtteri Bottas, Gasly, Tsunoda, Guan Yu Zhou, and Albon, Vettel, Ocon, Lance Stroll, and Mick Schumacher, Magnussen, and Nicholas Latifi. With preparations almost complete, let's head down to the track. Natalie Pinkham joins me once again in the commentary box. It's fantastic to have you with us today. I'm curious though, how do you think the drivers stop those pre-race nerves from becoming overwhelming when you're lining up on the grid?
Well, I imagine they'll be starting to feel the adrenaline as they anticipate the rundown into turn one, a bit like preparing to go into battle. The unknown situation will bring nerves, but that's a good thing. It'll keep them focused on the moment and on their surroundings as we build towards the start of the Grand Prix.
Here we go, folks. The Australian Grand Prix is about to get underway. The 5 red lights are on. It's lights out and away we go. Verstappen, slow start. Sergio Perez and George Russell both getting better start than him. Here we go, down into turn number 1. George Russell is in the inside. Verstappen holds the lead, going down into turn number 2 now. Russell stays behind. Verstappen leads. Here comes Sergio Perez. Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc behind. Sergio Perez going down the inside of George Russell. He takes P2. Charles Leclerc going around with Lewis Hamilton for P4. Hamilton with Leclerc around the outside, and he takes P4 away. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz takes Daniel Ricciardo's spot. Lando Norris and Pierre Gasly going wheel to wheel. Gasly's turning around the outside of turn 6. Lando Norris going to stick it through turn 7. Another 2 Alfa Romeos, I mean. Zhou Guan Yu and Valtteri Bottas. Zhou Guan Yu down the inside, heading up to turn 9 and 10 now. Guan Yu Zhou trying to get through, and he does. He takes the place away from his teammate. Through the first lap of the race already, it's Max Verstappen leader, Sergio Perez second. Third is George Russell, Charles Leclerc fourth, Lewis Hamilton fifth. On board with Sergio Perez as they head through turn number 13 and 14 now. Into the hairpin, into the penultimate corner. Verstappen still leads as they come out of the last corner. Max will lead the first lap. Sergio Perez does get a good exit though. He will have a chance to get Max Verstappen. Here comes Sergio Perez, switches to the outside, going down the middle. Oh, Max makes a mistake. Max Verstappen's off track. He comes back on. George Russell. Here comes Russell now. Here he goes around the outside. George Russell into turn 3. Can he stick the move? Around the outside. Goes the Mercedes. No, he can't. Verstappen stays P2. Russell stays P3. What an amazing first lap. Meanwhile, behind Sebastian Vettel, Lance Stroll going wheel to wheel. Sebastian Vettel takes the place away. Kevin Magnussen, Mick Schumacher going wheel to wheel. Magnussen holds on to the place. Back in the front though, Sergio Perez will hold on to the lead. He's the only driver on softs to start this race. Lewis Hamilton in P5 behind Charles Leclerc. Leclerc behind Russell, very close up, less than 2/10 now. Going through now, DRS still not activated until the third lap of the race. Lewis Hamilton, who was so close to win the title last year, fell short after a penalty for making contact, which costed him the entire championship. Charles Leclerc. Many drivers here trying to get their first ever win. Many drivers here trying to get their first ever podium as well. There's Fernando Alonso. He had such a great start. He's now up to P6. He started 7th, DRS now available, but will not be available during these 2 straights. Through turn 1 and 2, Sergio Perez still leads. Max Verstappen still chasing him down. He's 6/10 behind. George Russell in 3rd, Charles Leclerc 4th, Lewis Hamilton 5th, Alonso 6th, Sainz 7th, Ricciardo 8th, Norris 9th, Pierre Gasly 10th. Then it's Zhou Guanyu in 11th, Bottas 12th, Tsunoda 13th, Alexander Albon 14th, Vettel 15th, Stroll 16th, Epson Ocon 17th, Magnussen 18th, Mick Schumacher 19th, and Nicholas Latifi 20th. Heading through turn 7 and 8. Max Verstappen still in the back of Sergio Perez, looking to make a move. Charles Leclerc much closer now to George Russell. Max is definitely on the back of Sergio Perez, but he makes a mistake coming into turn number 9 or number 10. Heading through turn 11 now. Max Verstappen trying to make a move. He's going to go down the inside. Can't. Charles Leclerc, meanwhile, he goes around the outside of George Russell, third, turn 12, and he gets by. Charles Leclerc makes a move for 3rd. And meanwhile, Lando Norris goes around the outside of his teammate, Daniel Ricciardo, the home man, absolutely loses the place to 9th. Lando Norris takes P8. Meanwhile, Sergio Perez still leading. Max Verstappen has DRS down the main straight. Well, can't get close enough to pass him here, though. Charles Leclerc, meanwhile, still holds on to 3rd. He's trying to break away from George Russell. Lewis Hamilton, though, sticking behind them both. Fernando Alonso actually doing a well job of staying within the pack. Carlos Sainz is having a little bit of an issue. Oh. Carlos Sainz has an engine problem. He will be slow. That is a huge issue for Ferrari for their first race. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen very close up to Sergio Perez as they head up through turn number 8. Heading down to turn number 9 and 10. Max Verstappen right on the back of Sergio Perez. Through turn 10, Max Verstappen is close to the take on Perez. He's going to switch to the bottom. Max Verstappen down the inside of Sergio Perez into turn 12. And he gets by. Max Verstappen takes the lead. Charles Leclerc holds on. George Russell in 4th. Lewis Hamilton 5th. Sergio Perez going to try and come back on Max Verstappen. Sergio Perez down the main straight. He's close enough to get Max Verstappen. He's trying to round the outside of Max Verstappen. Can't do it. Okay, now I got the actual corners here. So I've been saying them all wrong as they head through turn 3 into turn 4. Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton. That is your top. That's your 3rd through 5th. Fernando Alonso still holding on. Lando Norris is catching Carlos Sainz. As there appears to be a rainfall in the area. It is starting to rain here in Melbourne, but it looks like it's not that serious yet. But there is a forecast of rain coming in. It is starting to sprinkle rain. As Carlos Sainz still trying to hold on to Lando Norris for position as they head through turns 11 and 12. That's 11 and 12. They head down to 13. Now Lando Norris got DRS, can't get there in time. Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen 1-2. The Red Bulls having a dominant race so far here on lap 5. Charles Leclerc trying to hold on to 3rd place with George Russell behind him with DRS. Lewis Hamilton as well has got DRS. Lando Norris has got DRS and Carlos Sainz can't get close enough though, even though he's 3/10 though. Lando Norris though, he is catching Carlos Sainz very quickly. There's Zhou Guanyu, a rookie in Formula 1, his first time in here. He's won several titles as Sebastian Vettel and Esteban Ocon go battling. Vettel holds on to his position. And heading back to the front, Sergio Perez still trying to catch Max Verstappen. His tires starting to worn down here in the wet conditions. We don't know how the forecast or the strategy is going to be. Carlos Sainz being pressured now by Lando Norris. Norris on the back of him. Norris is really sticking to Carlos Sainz as they head through turn 11 and 12. Lando Norris is going to have DRS down the straight into turn 13. Heading down into Ascari. Here comes Lando Norris around the outside of Carlos Sainz. The two former teammates go wheel to wheel. Lando Norris takes 7th. Daniel Ricciardo though going to try for P8. He can't do it. Sebastian Vettel trying to defend from Esteban Ocon. Ocon gets around through Ascari. And there's Stewart now. Ocon will take the position. Carlos Sainz has jumped to 8th. Lando Norris up to 7th. George Russell still trying to catch Charles Leclerc. Cannot do it right now. Max Verstappen still leads by less than a second on his teammate Sergio Perez. Charles Leclerc now behind by 3 seconds of his. Oh, Max runs very wide. The track is definitely getting slippery. I can see that now. Carlos Sainz with his engine issue, still fighting to stay in the points here. There's Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri in 10th place, trying to chase down Daniel Ricciardo, trying to stay ahead of Zhou Guanyu. Valtteri Bottas also behind Zhou Guanyu, his teammate. Pierre Gasly, race winner in 2020. Got on the podium. He didn't get on the podium last season. He had a very successful last season, though. His best finish of 4th, which was in Mexico City, which was very nice for him. Lando Norris through the corner. And we got a spin in the back, and that is Zhou Guanyu. He has gone around. And he's in the gravel of Ascari. There's Cho for the Chinese driver, the Chinese rookie, that is. And that's the first of 3 tests with the yellow flag. Just seeing which one looks better. We'll see that in the post. I know I'm talking to my future self, but I mean, I really need to know which one looks better. Charles Leclerc still behind by almost 3 seconds now of Sergio Perez. Russell, Hamilton, Alonso still within 1 second of each other. We see an instant replay. Zhou Guanyu absolutely just spins it. We have another yellow flag, and I think it's Alexander Albon. It is Albon. What has happened to Alexander Albon? So another yellow flag. Alexander Albon goes around. As we see on board of what happened. Oh, look at that. Guanyu got too early on the throttle there, but you can see it is raining on the onboard. So Sergio Perez is coming in this lap, they said on the radio. So Sergio Perez will take his first pit. So I see an onboard camera of Alexander Albon. Just too early on the throttle, spins into the gravel of turn 3, but he does get it back going and doesn't lose that many space. Yeah, he lost 13th to 18th. So Sergio Perez pits, makes his first pit stop of the day. They don't think it's wet enough to go on intermediate tires, so they're going to stick them on the hard tire. So Sergio Perez comes out behind Yuki Tsunoda. And now DRS is now disabled. So the track is getting wet, as now DRS is now disabled. Max Verstappen still leads over 4 seconds now between him and Leclerc. Russell still behind by 7/10. Lewis Hamilton has lost it now. He's 1.3 seconds behind Russell. Lando Norris 6 seconds behind Fernando Alonso, but Lando Norris has had a heck of a start to this race. Up to 6th place now, with Sergio Perez probably getting the worst of it. George Russell still ahead of Lewis Hamilton, his teammate, but he's now separating that gap. Max Verstappen still your leader by 4.5 seconds now. The gap is increasing. As we see now, Lewis Hamilton. Sergio Perez is on the back of Yuki Tsunoda without DRS. Lewis Hamilton 1.6 seconds now, 1.7 seconds behind his teammate. There's Lando Norris, 6 seconds behind Fernando Alonso, but he is doing a great job keeping ahead of everyone, including Carlos Sainz, who is dealing with an engine issue for this race. As now we have a three-way battle between Carlos Sainz, Daniel Ricciardo, and Pierre Gasly on the bottom of the screen. All for that as Sergio Perez gets by Yuki Tsunoda through turn number 1. The track is getting wetter, as you can see. Now they're starting to see droplets on the track, so that means there is rain starting to form on the track. So that's my turn from a dry race to a wet race, which would be interesting. But now we got to see how the strategy plays out between these teams. Carlos Sainz still 3 seconds behind Lando Norris. Ricciardo still trying to get by Carlos Sainz. Gasly as well. I don't know how the strategy is going to play out. Sergio Perez is still on hard tires, and I fear for the worst for Sergio Perez as he is on the hard tire, which is the tire you're supposed to get to the end. But right now, the track is looking too wet to even be on the dry tire. Lewis Hamilton now a 2-second gap between him and George Russell. Russell 8/10 behind Charles Leclerc. Leclerc 5 seconds behind Max Verstappen. As we get on lap number 11 here. Carlos Sainz still struggling behind, ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. Ricciardo still trying to find a way past the unfortunate Ferrari driver. Fernando Alonso, P5. As we go on water here with Daniel Ricciardo, heading through turn number 3 in his home race. Oscar Piastri is replacing him next year. There's Sergio Perez in 11th place, stuck on hard tires, but it looks like it is becoming a little bit too wet for the dry tires, so we'll see how strategy plays out here. Who will go on the intermediate tires and who will stay out, but it looks like it's almost mixed conditions here. Like you can see on the wet tire, you can see on the dry tire, but it looks like mainly it looks like the intermediate tires were another favorite. Just don't know when to come in. There's Pierre Gasly, who's behind Daniel Ricciardo now, or has been this entire race. Valtteri Bottas, P10. Sergio Perez on the back of Valtteri Bottas. Sergio Perez looking to make a move on Valtteri Bottas, just can't find the space. Goodbye. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen has increased his gap to 5.4 seconds. George Russell is out of the second gap that he needs for DRS, if it ever comes back online. Lewis Hamilton has dropped to 2.5 seconds, and Fernando Alonso is now within a second. Almost within a second of Lewis Hamilton. Sergio Perez is back in the pit lane. And he's switching to the intermediate tire. So Red Bull has now decided to put Sergio Perez on the preferred tire right now. As we enter the 12th lap, the track is now completely wet. You can see now there's wet patches on the track now. It is completely wet, and we will go to a wet condition. Max Verstappen heading through turns 11 and 12. And to turn 13. Max Verstappen still leading now by almost 6 seconds now over Charles Leclerc. So well done job by Max Verstappen to keep his lead. Max runs a bit wide, but he is coming to the pit lane to change to the intermediate tire. Red Bull is out on the pit lane, as well as Fernando Alonso is coming to the pit lane. So Alonso's out in the pit lane as well. So Russell, Leclerc, and Hamilton all stay out. Lando Norris will come in for his stop. Alpine doing a good job now. Alonso's been fitted the intermediate tire. Sergio Perez has dropped back to last on the back of Zhou Guanyu, who is still on the soft tire, and is double stacked by McLaren. Interesting strategy for McLaren to double stack. As you see, many drivers stay out on track, Mick Schumacher being one of them, Yuki Tsunoda another, Lance Stroll also there. Looks like the two Williams are also double stacking. Look at the lost time for Sebastian Vettel. That's a lot of lost time to be stuck behind the Williams in the pit lane. Charles Leclerc is your leader by 1.3 seconds, but both drivers will have to pit soon. Lewis Hamilton as well. Max Verstappen behind by 6.5 to Lewis Hamilton. Fernando Alonso 11 seconds behind Verstappen. Alonso is gaining on Verstappen, but it does look like there's a lot of drivers through there. Mick Schumacher in trouble. Lando Norris gonna go to the inside of Mick Schumacher. Third turn, 11 and 12. Lando Norris overtakes Mick Schumacher for 8th. Good move by the British driver. Lando Norris got many podiums last season. As you see, Leclerc and Russell both in the pit lane. Lewis Hamilton stayed out. Don't know the reason behind that. Lando Norris gets by Lance Stroll. And Carlos Sainz by Mick Schumacher. Oh, look at that. Get a bit loose. Lando Norris is went into the pit lane. Lando Norris is in the pit lane. I wonder what the reason behind that is. Lando Norris, he's switching to the hard tire. Oh no, what is McLaren doing? Oh no, McLaren, what have y'all done? Lando Norris is out in the soft tire, or the hard tire. What is going on? Sergio Perez is on the soft tire. What is going on? There's some drivers on hard, some drivers on soft tires. What is happening in this race? Lando Norris is on, or Daniel Ricciardo's on the intermediate tire. Lando Norris is on the hard tire. Carlos Sainz, I believe, is on the soft tire. Oh, he's not. He's on the intermediate tire. As we see him in 5th place. Fernando Alonso gets passed by Yuki Tsunoda. Excuse me. And Alonso's on the hard tire. What has happened? See multiple drivers. Lando Norris struggling onto the hard tire. Definitely not the tire of choice they should have used. As here comes Mick Schumacher around the outside of Lando Norris. As well as Lance Stroll, he gets by Lando Norris. Sergio Perez almost on the inside of Lando Norris, can't get by. Valtteri Bottas, or Zhou Guanyu, sorry, is there too. Daniel Ricciardo, he switches to the softs. What is happening in this race? So Fernando Alonso going back on the intermediate tire, as he should. Lando Norris is coming in. Sergio Perez is coming in. Perez is switching to the soft tire. What is happening? What is happening in this race? Sergio Perez is back on soft tires. That's the Williams. Nicholas Latifi is also on soft tires. Alex Albon, who's on the hard tire, he's coming in for the intermediates. Look at that. Sebastian Vettel was also on the on the soft tire. He's switching to the medium. He's switching to the intermediates. What is happening in this race? Max Verstappen still leads by 8 seconds over Charles Leclerc, with an intense race happening. We might see our first ever blue flag in this series. Charles Leclerc leads by is behind by 8.5 seconds now. Look at the gap between Yuki Tsunoda and Lewis Hamilton, 18 seconds. Mick Schumacher going to try and get past Valtteri Bottas, who's stuck on the soft tire. Here comes Schumacher around the outside, and he will get by Valtteri Bottas. Schumacher definitely playing the correct strategy, just doing a one-stop, doesn't want to go on the second tire. Tsunoda's up to 5th, Kevin Magnussen up to 6th, Carlos Sainz is on 7th, but he's on the wrong tire. I believe Carlos Sainz is on the wrong tire. I don't know, Pierre Gasly pits from using the soft tire. Lando Norris, or Daniel Ricciardo pits from having the soft tire. Lando Norris will jump him. I believe. Lando Norris does go by Daniel Ricciardo and Valtteri Bottas. Carlos Sainz on the soft tire. Amazingly, I don't know how can you get that strategy that wrong. Sergio Perez finally comes in for the correct tire. After 3 times he switched to the wrong tire. As now there's blue flags. Sergio Perez has been lapped by his own teammate. Let me say that again. Sergio Perez has been lapped by Max Verstappen. You can get a strategy so wrong. You go from second to dead last and lapped by your own teammate. Unbelievable. That gap is closing between Mick Schumacher and Carlos Sainz. As you can see, one of the Williams, that is Alexander Albon, giving up a space. Sebastian Vettel also gives up a space, but he gets passed by Alexander Albon. He lost the space due to a mistake of trying to let Max Verstappen through. Here comes Sergio Perez now to go by Sebastian Vettel through turn 9 and 10. Sergio Perez overtakes into turn 11. Sebastian Vettel just lost 2 more spots because of an accident that he caused. Here on lap number 16, now Sergio Perez is going to try and pass the Williams of Alexander Albon. Meanwhile, Carlos Sainz is losing time to Mick Schumacher. Schumacher on the intermediate tire, Carlos Sainz on the soft tire. So definitely the wrong tire of choice there. Kevin Magnussen still in 6th. Schumacher still in 8th. As Max Verstappen still leads by 7.5 seconds. Lance Stroll ahead of Zhou Guanyu. So Max Verstappen comes through turn 1 and 2 to complete the after the 17th lap on lap number 18. We have a yellow flag in the 3rd sector. I don't know who that is for. And it's Kevin Magnussen. Kevin Magnussen's went around in turn number 11 or 12. Turn 12. Kevin Magnussen has spun. What has happened to the Haas? Whatever happened, Carlos Sainz now 6th. Schumacher has taken 7th. What has happened to Kevin Magnussen? Let's look at an instant replay here. Kevin Magnussen, oh, he gets way too early on the throttle. Gets on the curb and spins it. That curb is probably very wet, so I assume that's how he spun. But that's disastrous for the Haas team and Kevin Magnussen. As now he's out of the points. George Russell still 1.6 seconds behind Charles Leclerc as he's trying to catch the Ferrari. Max Verstappen with a 6.8 gap between him and Charles Leclerc. Sergio Perez does get by Alexander Albon and takes 17th place. So now I think it's just a sprint to the finish. For all these drivers, George Russell still ahead. Carlos Sainz also there. There's Zhou Guanyu. He has made up from spinning on lap 7 to now up to P9 on the back of Lance Stroll. Good recovery for Zhou Guanyu. Amazing recovery for the rookie. His first ever start of the MyF1 season. Alex Albon has made a start in the season. He made back in the first season. And then in the F1 2020 game, as we're here at F1 22, he's now in the Williams. Fernando Alonso, P10. He was P5, and it looks like he had a poor strategy going on the wrong tire, like many others have. So Fernando Alonso is now P10 behind Zhou Guanyu and Lance Stroll. As you can see, Alonso still there. Yuki Tsunoda P5, Charles Leclerc P2, Max Verstappen P1. Pierre Gasly still trying to chase down Lando Norris. Norris still has a 3-second gap between him and Kevin Magnussen. Magnussen after the spin. Schumacher is chasing down Carlos Sainz, and he is going to get him within 2 laps, it says on the bottom of the screen. Schumacher is gaining on Carlos Sainz. There's Fernando Alonso behind Zhou Guanyu and Lance Stroll. Alonso had a really good off-season, fastest in the first day of testing. So he must have a very, very fast car. And today he has showed that, staying almost within Lewis Hamilton. As we have 10 laps to go in this race. Alonso, very close up to Zhou Guanyu. He's going to try and make a move around the outside. No, Zhou Guanyu shuts the door. Perfectly done by the Chinese driver. As Fernando Alonso, the Spanish two-time world champion of 2005 and 2006, is there. Max Verstappen, the champion of last year, looks like he's still warming his tires up. He's been complaining on the radio about grip. So he's still trying to warm up his tires to get some grip in his tires. Meanwhile, Mick Schumacher is on the back of Carlos Sainz. And it looks at the graphics at the bottom. Did not expect him to catch him this quick. Carlos Sainz now struggling in the wet conditions. Mick Schumacher, the son of Michael Schumacher, Formula 2 champion of 2020, is on the back of Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz had this sport in 2015 with Toro Rosso. Schumacher close enough to get Carlos Sainz, can't get him through turn 11. As he's getting held up now, Lance Stroll on board with Mick Schumacher as they head down towards turn 13. Schumacher trying to find a place to go. Carlos Sainz defends perfectly through the corner. Heading to 14. Number 14, Schumacher's got the inside of 14. Heading into 15, hairpin. Schumacher goes around the outside. Can he complete the move? Can he make the stick the move? Yes, he can! And that's P6 for Schumacher. So Schumacher takes P6 away from Carlos Sainz. Fernando Alonso still in the back of Zhou Guanyu and Lance Stroll. As the biggest mover of the race is definitely Zhou Guanyu, going from P20 to P9. Schumacher started though P18. He has made all his way up to P6. So great job by Mick Schumacher, staying out of trouble and doing the correct strategy to put himself into P6. Lance Stroll on the back of Carlos Sainz now. As here they come through turn 9 and 10. And now Carlos Sainz still getting pressured from Lance Stroll in the wet conditions. Sainz tried so hard to stay on the dry tire, but it looks like the dry tire is just not enough for the conditions anymore. Fernando Alonso fancying a move. He can't do it. Can't get it done through 13. Lance Stroll trying to get past Carlos Sainz. He's losing time to Schumacher ahead. A lot of time actually. 2 seconds now the gap between them as Carlos Sainz pits for the intermediate tire. Charles Leclerc 7 seconds behind. Carlos Sainz into the pit lane. If he would have pit earlier, I'm pretty sure he would have had a better spot, but instead he loses all those positions, and now he's out of the points. Bottas comes through. Daniel Ricciardo's going to come through as well. He's going to get past Esteban Ocon too. Sergio Perez is still behind. There's Fernando Alonso. Look at the gap between Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz. Wind down. There's yellow flags in the third sector. It's George Russell! Oh my god! George Russell in the Mercedes. He was P3. He is out of the Australian Grand Prix. And an engine failure for Mercedes. That is huge. In the first race, they could have taken the constructors' lead in the first race. Instead, now they will have to settle for third, most likely, unless Lewis Hamilton can do anything about it. That is huge. George Russell is out. He has parked his car at turn 15 and is out of the Australian Grand Prix. and so he will not be counted in the championship yet. Mick Schumacher is promoted to P5. Tsunoda has been promoted to P4. He's still 26 seconds back. Lewis Hamilton 13 seconds back. There's Charles Leclerc, as you see on the onboard camera. George Russell's car just gave up on its own. So, George Russell is the first DNF of the Australian Grand Prix. You thought for sure it would be someone else with how many yellow flags we've had. But instead it's an engine failure. No safety car though, I will mention that. Not even a virtual safety car. As George Russell's car has been placed in a safe area. According to the FIA. Fernando Alonso still in the back of Zhou Guanyu. I wonder how this is going to wind down. Max Verstappen still 7.9 seconds ahead of Charles Leclerc. Hamilton's 14 seconds behind. Alonso is gaining on Zhou Guanyu. That's ahead through 11 and 12. Alonso's got the run. He's got the pace, he just doesn't have the space to pass Zhou Guanyu. Sergio Perez, P16. It's kind of bad. Carlos Sainz, P15. He has to deal with an engine issue this entire time, so he's been having an unfortunate race for him as well. Esteban Ocon's also had an unfortunate race. Lando Norris and Daniel Ricciardo both were 6th and 7th at the one point of the race. Well, they were 7th and 8th, but both of them has had bad strategies and have to deal with that. So Yuki Tsunoda is in 4th, Schumacher 5th, Lance Stroll 6th, Zhou Guanyu 7th, Alonso 8th, Kevin Magnussen 9th, and Lando Norris is 10th. Somehow in that McLaren, Zhou Guanyu has managed, or Lando Norris has managed to pull that McLaren up to 10th in the points. Right now Zhou Guanyu and Fernando Alonso are still fighting with 5 laps to go now. Kevin Magnussen, unfortunate times, could have taken maybe P4 for Haas. Instead dealt with a spin and turn 12. And now it's to settle for 9th. Meanwhile, Max Verstappen, 5 laps to go, has dominated this race. Almost led every lap except for maybe 2. Will not get the fastest lap, so will not take a Grand Slam. As Nicholas Latifi has retired out of this race. Yellow flags in the first sector. Nicholas Latifi has retired from the race. But he is out of harm's way, so no safety car. Let's see, there is his car. That is between turns 2 and 3. As we see what happened, he just through the second turn, his car just looks like a energy issue. They're saying it's an energy issue, not a... So, ran out of energy. The car has. So an ERS failure for Nicholas Latifi has put him out of the race. Fernando Alonso still behind Zhou Guanyu. As they head through the 11th and 12th chicane. Max Verstappen still leading by 8.7. Lewis Hamilton behind by 15 seconds on Charles Leclerc. 28 seconds between Yuki Tsunoda and Lewis Hamilton. 16 between Schumacher and Tsunoda. Albon's got the biggest gap, as one of the biggest gaps. 13 seconds between him and Sergio Perez. As Max Verstappen's coming down to turn 13. Coming up to do the 3 laps to go. In this race, sorry, I was taking a drink. Excuse me. Fernando Alonso still in the back of Zhou Guanyu. Battle's been going on for a long time now. Lando Norris is on the back of Kevin Magnussen as well. So we have two battles going on at the same time. Can Lando Norris get by the Haas of Kevin Magnussen, who made a mistake earlier in this race? Fernando Alonso still trying to catch Zhou Guanyu and Lance Stroll. While all this is happening, Max Verstappen, oh, a little bit of mistake off the track there, but he keeps it straight as he comes around to lap Carlos Sainz now. So unbelievably, this is the first time ever we'll have drivers who do not complete the last lap due to them being lapped. But this is just the first round. There's still 17 more rounds in this F1 MyF1 championship. As Max Verstappen coming to get 2 laps to go now from Melbourne. Zhou Guanyu still ahead of Fernando Alonso. Lance Stroll ahead of both of them in 6th place. And behind them, Kevin Magnussen still ahead of Lando Norris. This race has been a strange one. Strategies. The weather has played an effect completely in this race. Schumacher gets 5th. Last year he scored 4 points, and that was due to one race. This year he's taking a P5 in his first race. Kevin Magnussen in his first race back will get a P9. Yuki Tsunoda continues the P4 streak of AlphaTauri the past 2 seasons now. AlphaTauri has done a very, very good job between both drivers of Pierre Gasly and Yuki Tsunoda. Max Verstappen, meanwhile, coming through turn 11 and 12. Zhou Guanyu still ahead there. Fernando Alonso still ahead of Kevin Magnussen by 2 seconds, but Alonso is still behind. Both the drivers ahead of him. But Max Verstappen, here he comes. He's lapped Ocon. He's coming to lap Daniel Ricciardo. But he will start the final lap of this race. Alonso still in the back of Zhou Guanyu. They will have one more lap after this. Max Verstappen starts the final lap of the Australia Grand Prix. Last year's champion, Lewis Hamilton, was 2nd. Now this time Lewis Hamilton will come home 3rd. Leclerc is in 2nd. There goes Daniel Ricciardo getting lapped. Ocon is behind him, as well as Carlos Sainz. But Max Verstappen has had a perfect race. He's kept it out of harm's way. He's played the strategy perfectly. He's built the gap that he needed to do. Just all around a perfect race. Perfect. Got a little bit of trouble with his teammate early in the race, but that is fine. Sergio Perez did not have that fortunate luck that Max Verstappen has had in this race. But Max Verstappen now, he's heading up towards turn 13 and 14. Verstappen through the hairpin. And he's coming around turn 14 now. Into the penultimate corner. Max Verstappen. As Max Verstappen comes in the last corner. 8-second lead over him. Max Verstappen comes out of the last corner. He wins the Australia Grand Prix. What a dominant victory for Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc comes P2. Hamilton P3. Tsunoda P4. Schumacher P5. What a win for Max Verstappen.
Race then, and a fantastic victory here at Albert Park. So Natalie, what do you think helped them deliver this result?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on the circuit and have come out on top.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Natalie Pinkham. Come on, who do you pick?
Mick Schumacher gets my vote today.
Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.